Hi, it's Pastor Paul L. Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. It is June the 1st. Can you believe it? What a hot spring we've had. And now it's the first day that we begin to look at Hurricane Preparedness Week, month and season. But I am just so grateful that it is Worshipful Wednesday. We have come for the specific purpose to worship and to glorify God, to tell Him thank you for all the wonderful ways He's blessed us. Please look with me at the Gospel according to St. Luke, the 9th chapter, verses 18 through 27 from the New Living Translation, a message that I've entitled, I Am Not Ashamed. I Am Not Ashamed. We find our text today where Jesus is with His disciples. And it lets us see in verse 18, Jesus left the crowds to pray alone. Oh, that's a very powerful point. It reminds us that Jesus knew how important it was for Him to spend some time alone with the Father and with the Spirit. Now, this becomes a good model for all of us to follow. It lets all of us see that Jesus wants us to do like He did. That is, spend time alone to pray, to hear from the Father. Now, we find out in the text that Jesus prayed alone. And as He prayed alone, He left His disciples. But then when He came back to them, He looked at His disciples, and it was just Him and His disciples alone. And He asked them the question, who do men or who do people say that I am? It lets us see the second point, that we need to sometimes get a pulse on what people are thinking and what people's perceptions are of us. In the world in which we live, we always have to learn to manage perceptions. Anyone who is in a leadership role, you have to think about managing perceptions. The perceptions have to be close to being correct with our thoughts, our actions, our ideas, and our behaviors. And when they are not, it can cause a conflict in leadership and a conflict in management. Jesus asked His disciples, who do people say that I am? Well, and they went on to say, some say you're one of the prophets, some say you're John the Baptist, some say you're Elijah. And then He looked at them. He said, but who do you say that I am? The third point I want you to know is that who is Jesus to you? Peter replied, you are the Messiah sent from God. Now, Peter realizes that he didn't say this in and of himself. You know, Peter thought he was smart, but he wasn't quite that smart. It was the Holy Spirit who had revealed it unto him. And Jesus warned His disciples, don't tell anybody who I am, because I want to save it until the moment is right. You know, God's timing is so important. We must understand that God has a timing that is only His. Everything happens according to the way He plans it to. We sometimes don't understand it, but Jesus gives His disciples some insightful words. He lets them see in our fourth point that the Son of Man must suffer many terrible things. He's going to be rejected by the religious leaders, the elders, the priests, and the teachers of religious law, and He will be killed. But on the third day, He will be raised from the dead. Oh, that's powerful. Jesus lets them know that I'm going to go through some difficult days and some difficult times ahead. He was forewarning them so they would be fully aware that these days were coming. You know, it's oftentimes that we forget. Jesus tells us that anybody who lives righteous and lives a godly life, we will suffer some persecution. Jesus went through the utter persecution. He made the ultimate sacrifice. He gave His life. But He lets them know that even after they kill me, on the third day, I'll be raised from the dead, just like He said He would. Now, all the crowds, they wanted to know, and all of them wanted to follow Him. And He said, if you are wanting to follow me, you must take up your cross and follow me daily. And you must let everybody know that you're not ashamed of the gospel. Now, this is a very powerful message, because in verse 26, He says, anyone who's ashamed of me and my message, the Son of Man will be ashamed of that person when He returns in His glory of the Father and the holy angels. It lets us all know that we should be willing to say, I am not ashamed. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, because it's the power of God to salvation for everybody that believes. I'm not ashamed to do like Christ did, to spend some time alone with God. I'm not ashamed to say, God, speak to me. I'm not ashamed to find out what people have to say. But I have to make sure, you have to make sure, we have to make sure that they see God in us at work. Jesus asked them, but who do you say that I am? It is your opinion. It is your thought. It is your persuasion that will lead and guide you. I hope today that you can say, I'm not ashamed, because even when suffering comes, I'm not ashamed. I'll be willing to suffer because I know Christ paid it all for me. And for that reason, I'll give my all to him. I will give my life. I will sacrifice all those things that try to take precedence over Christ and put him first. Today, my brothers and sisters, on this Worshipful Wednesday, I hope you can say that you're not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, because it's the power of God to salvation to everyone that believes. And I hope you will always realize that in this year of 2022, God has a very special blessing in store for you, because you are exceedingly and abundantly blessed. I'll see you on tomorrow.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.